Okay, here we have a question from Francois. He's been working on a big project and he's added a lot of photos in. And now he realizes that he wants those photos to be a longer duration than what they are. He does know that he can go into the settings to change the duration. But this is where he learned a hard lesson that when you settings have to be changed before you put anything on the timeline, or before you put whatever you want on the timeline to be adjusted to that new setting. And so therefore, how can he now go back and change the duration of all of the other photos that he's already put in there? Let's show him how to do that. Before we fix our project, let's just review what happened to Francois. He knows that he can go in and to the preferences and go to editing, and he can change the duration of something. And in this case, he wants the duration of his photos to be longer. I happen to like mine at 3 seconds, so that's why I have my preferences set for that. But I'm going to go ahead and change that to 5. And I'm going to apply that. So now that's going to be 5 seconds long. And by the way, that can be frames or seconds. It doesn't have to be just seconds. But if I was to import a new image from my media here, I'm just going to take this image right here and I'm going to put it right here. And it should be a duration of 5 seconds, and indeed it is a duration of 5 seconds. And you see we could go in here and we could change each one of our photos that we put in there just by right-clicking and changing duration, but that sure as heck would be very cumbersome. So what's a better way that we can do it? Anyway, the first lesson is make sure that your settings are set to the way you want them before you start putting things onto the timeline. And it doesn't just apply to duration, it applies to the other settings as well. It only applies to what gets put on the timeline after you change the setting. Okay, so anyway, we're now stuck with a project where we have a bunch of 3-second photos in here, and we'd like to go in and change them all at the same time. Now, unfortunately, it's not like if we had put a filter on it and we wanted to then to apply that same filter to all of them. We could right-click and go up to Effects and Filter and Copy, and then we could go and select all the others and we could do Paste. That would be nice and easy, but that doesn't work for duration. So how can we get duration? All right, first of all, let's let's zoom our project in so that it fits the whole timeline, our visible timeline here. And you'll notice one curious thing about the timeline, that each different thing that's on here is a different color. All the photos happen to be purple. And what I'm talking about is the color up in the header here, not the actual color inside, whatever. But we have some purple, we have some blue, which happens to be titles, and we have some effects or stickers, I think these are, and they happen to be brown. So there's all these different colors. Now, why do they have that, and how can we use them? Well, we can use them simply by selecting one of them and then right-clicking. And you'll see here at the bottom that what we've selected has been highlighted, and you'll notice right above there it says select all clips with the same color mark. Well, whoopee, there we go. So now we just selected all the brown ones. But of course, what we wanted to select was all of the images. So we're just going to select one of these images, and we're going to right-click on it, and we can see the purple is selected. Now, if you're really a speed worker, you'll use the Alt-Shift-Tilde combination in order to select all of them. I'm going to show you both ways. This way here, now we're selecting all of the purple. And there we go. We just selected all of the photos. Now that also includes our currently 5-second photo, and I'll show you why that's important later. So to use the keyboard shortcut, we would select one of them. We can't select them if we don't at least select one of them. And we do Shift-Alt-Tilde. And there we go. We just selected all of our photos. So that was step number 1. The next step is we want to lengthen them. We can now do this, but it's silly to try to do it at this level here. We can select any one of these where we can get the drag icon, like this one right here, and hold down the left key and then drag it. But at this scale, because we're zoomed out, everything is so tiny, it's difficult to get it. You do get the counter, the duration counter down there as you drag it, and it will affect all of them at the same time. As you can see, we just did there, but we didn't get the exact 5 seconds that we wanted. So let me just do Control Z and return everything else. We can select anything inside here, but I recommend that you select the last one. The first thing you want to do is you want to move the playhead, this red line, over to the end here, and then drag the timeline out so that it's larger. Once we are out here, we now can operate on a more granular scale. It will be easier to go 1 frame at a time. In fact, if we go out all the way, we can do 1 frame at a time. But we don't really need to do that here. We just need to be able to drag it out to exactly the 5 seconds. So now we just go to the end. We get our drag icon, we left click, and we watch our little duration counter at the bottom there. And now because we have to drag it real far to get 5 seconds, it's easier to get that exact 5 seconds than when we're zoomed in. And there we go, we got 5.2, there we go, 5 seconds. And voila, all of a sudden, everything in our project got enlarged. Now, what I meant to say before was that you notice that we put this one down at 5 seconds, and this has now been enlarged also. Okay, it's up to 7 seconds because we added 2 seconds to everything else. So if you have media in there that's already been set to the new duration, then make sure you deselect it. So let's just do Control Z and redo our process here, and we're zoomed in. So we know we have one here that's 5 seconds. Okay, let's just click we're going to right click and we're going to select all the purples. And now we want to deselect this one that we have already done. We hold down the Control key and we left click, and that deselects it. Now all we're going to do is expand the ones that, okay, again, let's get down here to the end and let's drag it out. And as I said, you don't really necessarily have to be on the very last one. Okay, when you do just what I did there, you just made a mistake. And that is, now you've only selected one and not all of them. And if you go ahead and do the shortcut and you try to select all of them at this point in time, now you're also going to select the ones you didn't want. So valuable lesson there. So we're going to just deselect this one. Now, as I was starting to say, we could drag right from here, but you can't really see anything. That's why you don't do this. This is why I suggest you select the end one. So let's just go back here again, and let's just make sure we have deselected the one out here in the beginning. It is deselected, as is this one up here. So now we're going to hold down the Control key and we're going to select these missing ones as well. Okay. All right, this is why we don't like to work on this zoomed out scale, because it's just too difficult. Let's do N. We press the N key, and that always moves you to the end of the project, and the Home key moves you to the beginning of the project. So if you want to get to the beginning of the end, here's a good way of doing it. Okay, now that we're at the end of the project, let's just go ahead and zoom in so we can work on a granular format here. We're going to drag that out to the 5 seconds, like so. And there we go. And then we're going to zoom to fit again, and we will see that we have it all correctly sized. And we'll see that our the one that we had deselected, because we had added it after we changed our preferences, is at 5 seconds. So it's important that if you have something in the group, in the color group that you just selected, that you don't want to change, make sure you deselect it before you actually make the change. And that's how you do it all at once. I hope this helps Francois getting through his project much more quickly.